Welcome to my ultimate guide for brewing the perfect cup of coffee, right from the comfort of your camper van, or even out in the middle of nowhere. Whether you're waking up to a beautiful sunrise or winding down after a day of adventure, nothing really beats a freshly brewed cup of coffee. Today we're exploring all the ways to satisfy your caffeine cravings on the go. Let's start with the type of coffee itself. Instant coffee, ground coffee, and for those that like a really quick coffee, we've obviously got the coffee pods as well. Instant coffee is the quickest way to get your coffee. You just add water and you're good to go. But yes, that's hot water. And that's another question. Probably one of the most difficult parts people struggle with. And I'm going to answer that today. I'm going to give you several options here. And with what I think is my absolute favourite, the best mobile coffee anywhere. A beach, a forest, a mountain, or even out on your paddleboard. So for your instant coffee, this is where we are going to need boiling water. And this is going to be dependent on your location. That'll be a big deciding factor. I'm not going to be getting into the water temperature of what the correct temperature should be for a cup of coffee. That's another question in itself. Now, if you're on electric hookup, a kettle is going to be the fastest way of achieving this. But a kettle is a power-hungry appliance. And without getting into numbers and the calculations of the power draw, a normal household kettle may be too much for some campsites. And most people do tend to use a specific camping kettle, which does have a lower power. A camping kettle is specifically made to run at a lower wattage, which means that you don't actually need as much power to run it. But that also means it's not got as much power to heat that water, which does mean that it does actually heat slower. But that's not particularly a bad thing. But it means that this type of kettle could also be used if you've got an inverter of a suitable size, or possibly a portable power station. I can use this on my Bluetti power stations, including the brand new AC180T. I'm going to show you some more power coffee devices coming up. But another option for boiling water is your gas hob. Now, obviously, you're going to need a different kettle for that. You're going to need a whistling one, but you might be able to use this in your camper van using the burner, or out on the back with a slide pod type unit, or perhaps outside on a portable cooker. Well, semi-portable, because you couldn't really put one this size in the back of your backpack. But what you could use is you could take the OEX Takana option. Now, this Takana boils water extremely fast. It's a bit like the other water boiling systems which you've seen, probably the Jetfire and the Fire Maple. And this type of unit is great when you're out on your travels because it just slips into your backpack. So you can actually use it traveling very light. It's got obviously a small gas canister, so it just means it's very, very easy to carry around and very light. I'll put some of the links below of some of the options which I've got here, which I bought personally. And I did every single thing which I'm showing you today, I personally bought. Well, apart from one of them, which I got free because I bought so many coffee pods that they ended up sending me a free device. But I'll come on to that one in a little while. But I'm not particularly a huge fan of instant coffee. I do much prefer an espresso based drink, which I've got a few options coming up. Now, there are obviously instant options for your lattes and your cappuccinos. That's obviously in these particular sachets, but it wouldn't be my particularly first choice of latte or creamy cappuccino as it is in this case. So the next option of coffee which we've got is for ground coffee, and a tried and tested is the cafetiere or the French press, which is great in a van, but it's not going to be the best option in a backpack if it's a glass one. But there are lots of different sorts of cafetieres, different sizes and different materials. So you could get one with a material which isn't delicate and breakable, and you could take that out with you if you wish. Now, this is one which I don't use in my van because it's absolutely massive. I couldn't find the small one, but I don't particularly take that very often. But when I do, it obviously needs boiling water. And again, this could be used by some of the other methods which I've had. When I've used it in my van, I use it with a burner. But when I take it out, I use it with a Takana or the jet boil or whatever it might be in my rucksack. But for what I personally use for ground coffee is the Wakakao Copper Mocha, which uses filter papers, which filters the coffee. It's really, really easy to use. The top of it comes up. That pops up there. This opens out. You put your ground coffee in the top, pour water in it, and then it drips down. Then you remove the filter. You can even remove this itself, and then you can put that on there, and then you've got a nice drinking coffee there from nice ground coffee. Really nice. That's obviously the pouring in the water over the coffee, and I like it. It's really, really good coffee. But there is obviously that to get rid of, which is going to have coffee in it. So there is another option, another updated option, which I don't actually have at the moment, but I've heard some very good things about it. The updated version doesn't require papers, and it's called the Pipper Mocha, but it's only about 15 quid more than the Cuppa Mocha, but less hassle without the papers. Now, if you are on hookup, then you could use a filter coffee machine, but this is not something which I particularly use. What I do use, and actually by the definition of an espresso maker, however, it's not an espresso with the nice smooth crema, which will be coming onto in a little while. And this is the Italian stove top espresso maker. And this works by placing the ground coffee in the basket and cold water in the pot. And then by a little bit of magic, once you've put that on your stovetop, the coffee comes up through the top and produces a lovely ground coffee, a lovely filtered coffee. Absolutely beautiful. I've been using this particular one, I've had for many, many years. Obviously, you put that on your gas stove, and then that boils the water in here, pushes the coffee up the top and produces the beautiful, beautiful coffee. Now, there are obviously ones of these available now with the increase in induction hobs, which obviously uses the electricity, and they're specifically made for an induction hob. So you can actually use that on an induction hob as well. Brilliant. All this modern technology is coming along, and even including these devices. And I can't remember how many years old they are, but they are absolutely donkey's years old. They've been around for a long, long time. Now, it's probably one which really you're going to be using in your van rather than away. I mean, you can use it away, but this does get extremely, extremely hot, so do be careful when you are using it. But now we're going to be coming on to some of my favourite coffees. Firstly, for an espresso-based drink with milk, like a latte, a cappuccino, flat white, then you're obviously going to need milk. So the best way of achieving this is with a coffee machine. And there are some campervan conversions now which do actually include these. They are in some of the cupboards, and I've even seen one with a press your button and it actually raises up by electric, which is brilliant. Some of these are fantastic, but you do need an extremely good electrical system, a very good electrical setup with a decent battery or a power station to be able to run those. Like your household kettle, these machines pull a lot of power. But not only that though, if you have a small van, an extra device like that is going to be eating into that valuable storage space. And it's not exactly something which you can take down to the beach with you, is there? But the next one you can. And until I got my latest device, which I will come on to, this was the best device which I had for making an espresso. And it's another product from Wakako, and this is the Wakako Nanopresso, and it's an 18 bar pressure espresso maker, portable use for away from the van. Easy to store and easy to carry due to its compact size, and it's obviously very lightweight. It does require hot water, so you're obviously going to need the previously mentioned means for actually producing that. Now, it's a case of you actually put your beans in it, you put your coffee in it, and you just actually give it a pump. You give it a pump and it comes out the bottom. You can use either ground coffee with the basket or a Nespresso capsule, the Nespresso original capsule. You pour the water in it, give it a manual pump, and off you go. And it is really, really good, well worth it. It doesn't take a lot of effort to do it. It served me really, really well, not only for trips away, but even at work. When the other options is buying a coffee, which obviously costs money, obviously these do as well, or drinking instant coffee, then this has just been absolutely perfect. It's been really, really good, and I'm not going to be getting rid of it just yet. However, I have since been using another option which I think is absolutely amazing, but don't just take my word for it. People in the office and other people who've seen it think it's amazing also. I went to the NEC show and a couple of people saw it whilst I was there using it, and they were fascinated by it, and that is this. The Outing Nano, another portable espresso maker. This one, however, is completely different. You don't need to manually pump it. It's battery operated and it even heats the water. You can use hot water if you want, and if you've got that easy access to hot water, then it is probably better to do that. And the battery will last for over 200 brews if you do use it that way. But I do often use this whilst I'm out and about, and therefore there isn't any hot water, so I've got to use cold water. And there's no hassle of having to boil the water by another means, because I can just put cold water in the top on the measurement there as to exactly how much I want. And if I'm using it that way, using it with cold water, then it does take a little bit longer to come out. I think it's 3 minutes or 3 to 4 minutes I timed it as, and you press the button and it pops the espresso out there. And if you are doing it that way, then the battery lasts for about five charges, about 5 brews I think it is. But let's face it, we're not really going to be away from a charger to have 5 coffees without coming into any means of being able to charge it. I think you'd probably be drinking too much coffee if you did. I've certainly never had a problem with it. Took it to a hotel which I stayed in recently when I went to the NEC show, and it was instant coffee there. Didn't particularly want to drink the instant coffee, so I used this. Obviously I could use a kettle, so I boiled the kettle, and yeah, off I went. So absolutely fantastic. Bought this online. I will put a link before, but I actually bought this myself. Not sponsored by them or anything. Genuinely use it. If you do ever see me out and about, you ask me, it's probably going to be in my van with some these coffee pods, because although you can use ground coffee, I use the Nespresso pods. The ristretto ones is the ones which I really like, and you just unscrew the bottom and pop those in there, and yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant device. Really like it. One of my favorite gadgets at the moment is that. It's certainly getting a lot of use, and because of the nature of it, you can use it at the beach, the woods, a hotel, like I've said, rather than the cheaper sachets. It's available in lots of different colours, and you can even get a case for it, which I did. Whether you need to do or not, I don't know, but I just thought it was quite nice to be able to keep all the pods nicely together. So it's just all there rather than pods floating around everywhere. It doesn't include milk though. Now, if you like an espresso, that is 100% perfect. But if you do like a milk-based drink, then obviously with it being an espresso, then you're going to really need warm milk, as you might do for the other Nespresso options. Now, if you put cold milk in that espresso, it's going to make it quite a cold drink. So you do need something else. So what I use, and this is something which I can use with my portable power station, and that is the Nespresso Aerocino, and this is a milk frother, but it's not just a milk frother, it's a heater as well. My inverter in my van I think is 800 watts, so it's not massive, and that'll power that absolutely fine. Now obviously you're not going to be able to take that in your backpack whilst you're out and about, but once you're in your van, you can obviously make a milk, you can obviously froth the milk, you can heat that up and then add it with your espresso shot, and then you can obviously make that drink. But if you are taking it away, there's nothing stopping you from taking a small little flask, which I've done before, heat the milk up in that, froth the milk up in that, put it in the small little flask, and then off you go, and you've got the milk and you've obviously got the coffee as well. Perfect. What more could you possibly ask for? Giving you that great tasting hot coffee wherever you are. The best cup of coffee though is actually one that suits your taste, just like Campervans themselves. So if you want to see some incredible Campervans, then you can have a look at that video here. Thanks for watching, take care, and do let me know what your favourite coffee is. I hope to see you soon.